Do not adjust your dials, Cover Killer Nation. You are, in fact, watching the right video. We're talking about a Linkin Park song today. We've talked about Linkin Park before. We talked about A Thousand Suns, their last album, and I think I also did a band review of them prior to that album review release. And if you remember correctly from that album review, it was kind of a tale of two albums, where one of it was very rock-oriented, was very heavy, and then the other part was a little bit more hip-hop infused. And you know, individually they worked very well within their respective genres. However, it's something where collectively it was kind of a disjointed listen, and it kind of brought the whole album down. Now, before I get to talking about the song, I need to really pull the veil back a little bit, pull the curtain back, and confess to you guys that whenever I get the amount of requests that I did for me to talk about this song, it's usually something that's very negative. It's something where people want me to listen to a song and tear it apart. They want me to kind of go all angry reviewer on the song, and that's usually what they, at least it's what they want. It's not always what happens, because I really can't do that with Guilty All the Same, which is Linkin Park featuring Rakim he's one half of the former hip-hop powerhouse duo Eric B. and Rakim, who are considered to be one of the most instrumental and important rap duos of all time. They were very, very influential in the 1980s before they split off and did their separate thing, with Rakim going solo in the 90s and most recently in the 2000s also. So you already know that I really don't have any plans to go angry reviewer on this album, or on the song rather, so it's time for me to explain kind of why that is. Because whenever most people think about Linkin Park and they think about my channel, they obviously think that this is a mad reviewer's match made in heaven, that basically I would have all sorts of negative things to say about how the song is generic and how it's just new metal 0.7.0.012 ABC, and that there's really no deviation, and there's just really nothing, you know, solid about it. This isn't metal, so it sucks. No. That's not how this channel works. If you've been here for a while, you'll kind of recognize that even though there is a ton of metal on here, it's just my principal source of influence and my principal thing that I like to talk about. However, Linkin Park has definitely made their mark. They've definitely done some creative things throughout their career. I've always been a big fan of Reanimation. That was a great album that was able to infuse a little bit more of like kind of like a dancey / electronic feel to their previous singles off of Hybrid Theory, and songs that they've been working on for their second album. And it was just kind of a really unique take on how to do things. The remix album is something you don't see very often out of rock bands, and it's usually done with some strange results, but this was one where they definitely centered the idea and sort of pinpointed it to kind of what they wanted to do. They wanted to really throw a lot of their different influences together and make something really unique, and they did that. And they've been able to kind of do that throughout their career with some success, but with other projects falling very, very flat. Minutes to Midnight is definitely a great example of that. But with this song, the first thing that I notice is that there's about a minute and a half intro to this track, which is something that's very, very uncommon for a Linkin Park song. Usually after a minute and a half worth of music in a Linkin Park song, you're already into the second verse or potentially into the second chorus. This is not something that usually happens, where you have a minute and a half of solid music unless it's an instrumental track from Linkin Park. So this is certainly a unique case scenario. And really, whenever you listen to it, you hear a lot of different influence from a little bit more of the modern metal scene, as opposed to their traditional ideas of heavy alternative rock with a little bit of a hip-hop influence, either that or with a little bit of just a standard pop influence. So I definitely hear a lot of Avenged Sevenfold. I hear a lot of the, you know, traditional people that I would associate more with modern metal, and I use air quotes for that because it's kind of a genre that it's a name that's not going to fit. It's almost like New Metal 2.0, only in the case that instead of it being NU for new, it's NEW. It's new. It's current metal is, I guess, a good way to put it. And it's really not even a good label, because it's not an envelope of the entire genre, because the genre is so multifaceted and has so many different styles and deviations and musical ideas to offer that it's kind of just a bad term in general. But because of this, it really does cause you to really pay attention. It causes you to take note, because it is so very different from what they have done before in the past. And then whenever you get into the actual lyricism, whenever you get to the actual wording of the song, it's something where you can tell that this has a little bit to do with corporate greed. It has a little bit to do with just overall greed, with the way in which America kind of is today, very focused and centered on the almighty dollar, something where corporations and the larger companies, or maybe even record companies, this could be something where it is a stab a little bit at the old corporate record labels really just slaving for a product, or really slaving for the dollar, should I say. In fact, one of the lines even talks about selling substandard product just to get another dollar, and I believe that was Rakim that actually rapped that line. His rhyme is actually very solid, and he showcases why he has such a powerful influence, because the rhyme on this is not one that is very direct. It's not something that has, absolute 100% repetitive flow to it, for one, either that or something where it is very, very easy to track or follow. He is able to use a style that does not necessarily have to follow the music in order to get the point across and to have it sound like it makes sense. There's a little bit of an uneasy disjointedness to this that actually makes it work even more, because it's almost flowing like a stream of consciousness. Like, this is a gentleman who is having a conversation with somebody and is outputting this long rant-style conversation or reply to the conversation, which actually gives it a lot more potency and a lot more meaning, because it's not something that needs to directly follow the music. It's not something that needs to follow what's going on in the background in order for it to really work. It's one where he's able to use a little bit of accelerated meter if he needs to, but in most cases he stays relatively standard. This is not like he's going off on a Kendrick Lamar-like approach, where Kendrick can go double, triple, or even quadruple time at the drop of a hat if necessary, and it's not one where he's trying to really overbear you with just his speed and really have that be the showcase. It's instead the message that really is the pinnacle showcase here. Overall, this song actually restores some hope for me that the 6th Linkin Park album is going to be worth checking out. It's going to be one where it has now a single that really shows a growth, it shows some evolution, and it shows a band that, even though at core value, whenever you listen to the music, has a lot of the elements that you expect from them. It's something where they're not going to go above and beyond and go crazy with, kind of deviating from the bass patterns of their riffs or anything like that. It still is enough of a change, and it's still enough of a mix-up of their sound. It's enough of a shaking up process that it definitely makes you curious, and it's made me curious. I definitely want to know what this is all about. I want to check it out, because I really feel that if you listen to an album like the one that they did with Jay-Z, Collision Course, that's really showcasing how the molding of rap and rock can come together and create an album that's really, really unique. And yeah, they've done the idea before, but I'd almost like to see that happen again, only with perhaps some songs being just LP doing the stuff, and then having a lot of guests come in to maybe help them out. Either that or just, really shake things up a little bit. And I think that this album's going to do that. This song kind of is proving that to me, and maybe I really have a lot of bent-out hope ever since, Reanimation and Meteora for, a really classic Linkin Park album, because I feel that we've really kind of been shafted the past couple of times. I don't think that they're a terrible band. I make fun of them because of Crawling, and, threw that in the video for the Atreyu album review I did 10 billion years ago. But, all in all, these guys are where they are for a reason. They're here because they make songs that definitely do apply to a lot of people on a lyrical level, but at the same time, they're not poorly constructed, even though it is something that seems like they rehash the same musical ideas over and over again, and there's a formula to their writing. It's something where they deviate enough throughout the albums with their formula that it either becomes their greatest asset or their greatest deterrent. So I'm excited to hear what this new album has to offer. It's currently nameless. It's supposed to come out in 2014. I encourage you guys, check out the song. If you were ever a fan of Linkin Park and maybe you fell off because you felt it's not metal to listen to Linkin Park, give this a try. If you like hip-hop, give this a try, because it has one of the greats doing a pretty damn good verse. I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you to check this out over at Linkin Park's official YouTube page, and I will talk to you guys next time. What do you guys think of the song? Let me know in the comments below. And please, actually listen to the song before you're just like, well, Linkin Park's gay, fuck them. First off, that's really dumb. Don't do that. And secondly, don't say the word gay. That's really retarded too. Don't do that, please. Let's be a little bit more progressive here in 2014 and actually have a musical conversation about the song instead of just labeling. But with that said, with the next video, I'm probably just going to be recklessly labeling things, so disregard everything I just said.